cure that cycle. So let me ask you something. Why is it that willpower always seems to run out? You make a New Year's resolution, you push yourself to wake up early, you force yourself to eat healthy, and for a few days, it works great. But eventually, the battery drains, right? That's because forcing ourselves to do things using sheer willpower is a finite, exhausting resource. It literally always fails us in the long run. We need something so much better than just trying hard.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the instant gratification monkey, move into the dopamine detox, hit our core concept that discipline is actually an emotion, then look at cultivating growth and grit, a Stoic perspective, and finally, we'll wrap up with daily foundational habits.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the instant gratification monkey. To figure out how to win this battle, we really need to understand why we keep failing in the first place. Inside your brain, it's basically a tug of war for control. On one side, you have your rational decision maker. That's the part of you that visualizes the future, sees the big picture, and actually wants to be productive. But sharing that exact same space is the instant gratification monkey. This animalistic part of your brain has absolutely no memory of the past and zero concept of the future. It only cares about what is easy and fun right now. For anyone who procrastinates, this monkey is constantly hijacking the wheel.
And when that monkey takes over, well, it drags you straight into what writer Tim Urban brilliantly calls the dark playground. Every single procrastinator knows this place. It's a zone where you're supposedly having fun, watching videos, scrolling online, but the pleasure is entirely unearned. The air is just thick with guilt, dread, and anxiety because you know you're actively avoiding important work. It's not actual leisure time. It's just really stressful avoidance.
So how in the world do we ever get anything done? Well, the procrastinator has one weird guardian angel, the panic monster. The panic monster stays totally asleep until a deadline gets uncomfortably close, or there's a danger of public embarrassment, or a career disaster is imminent. It is literally the only thing the monkey is terrified of. But relying purely on fear and adrenaline? Yeah, that's a terrible, exhausting long-term strategy for discipline, especially for those big life goals that don't have built-in deadlines.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Dopamine Detox.
Let's look at the neurology behind all this. Why is that monkey so hopelessly addicted to distraction? It's all about dopamine, the neurotransmitter that creates desire and motivation. Modern life floods our brains with unnatural, massive amounts of dopamine through things like endless social media scrolling or video games. To handle this flood, your brain actually down-regulates its receptors, giving you a really high tolerance. Once that happens, productive, low-dopamine activities like reading, studying, or even just cleaning, they feel painfully, literally boring. You honestly lack the neurological motivation to do them because the reward just isn't high enough anymore.
So here's the kicker. To fix this, we actually have to occasionally starve ourselves of that easy pleasure. To reset those burnt-out dopamine receptors, you need a dopamine detox. This means setting aside one full day where you avoid all highly stimulating technology. No internet, no junk food, no music. You just embrace the boredom. I know it sounds extreme, but making yourself profoundly bored is exactly what makes difficult, low-dopamine work feel interesting and rewarding all over again.
And on a daily basis, you've got to adopt the work-first rule. It's exactly what it sounds like. Step 1. Always complete your difficult, low-dopamine work first. Step 2. Reward yourself with the high-dopamine fun, but only at the very end of the day. If you indulge the monkey first thing in the morning, you will never find the motivation to do the hard work later. High dopamine behavior should only ever be used as an earned reward.
Okay, Section 3, discipline is an emotion.
This right here is the absolute game changer of this entire explainer. If we aren't relying on willpower, what on earth do we rely on? Well, drawing from addiction psychiatry and ancient philosophy, true discipline is not just white-knuckling it, it is an emotion. Take the ancient yogic concept of Sankalpa. It translates to an internal emotional state of resolve. We tend to think the opposite of discipline is laziness, but it's actually doubt. When you doubt your path, you lose focus. The antidote isn't forcing action, it's cultivating fierce, unwavering resolve. When you are truly resolved, think of a time you finally just said enough is enough. Discipline just happens naturally. It fuels you from the inside out. So instead of a drainable willpower battery, we can actually generate a self-sustaining thermonuclear engine of resolve through a daily Sankalpa practice. Here's how you do it. First, pick a single medium difficulty task to commit to, like giving up one specific junk food. Don't start with your biggest life goal. Second, sit quietly for 5 to 10 minutes every single morning.
Third, close your eyes and actively feel the emotion of your commitment. Stoke the fire of your internal resolve for the day ahead. You are literally practicing the emotion of discipline.
Next up, Section 4, cultivating growth and grit.
Now, how do we keep that emotional fire burning for years on end, not just a couple of days? We need a specific mental framework known as grit. Grit is defined as the passion and perseverance for long-term goals, and research shows that grit is actually a much stronger predictor of success than innate talent or IQ. It's the ability to keep your resolve burning even when things get incredibly difficult. But to actually have grit, you absolutely must adopt a growth mindset. A fixed mindset assumes your talents and abilities are just locked in place at birth. If you fail, you think, well, I'm just not good at this, and you give up. But a growth mindset is the belief that abilities can be developed like a muscle through practice. And neuroscience totally backs this up. The connections in your brain physically grow stronger with study and effort. A challenge isn't a roadblock, it's just an opportunity to grow.
A huge piece of the growth mindset is actually learning to practice failure. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. She was rejected by 12 different publishers before one finally said yes to Harry Potter. High achievers fail all the time, but they keep trying anyway. They use those failures to build their grit and test their resolve, equipping them to handle setbacks constructively instead of letting doubt creep in and destroy their discipline.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, a Stoic perspective.
Let's widen our toolkit here and look at how ancient Stoic philosophy handles distraction. Take a moment to just reflect on this profound idea. We exchange every moment of our life for a moment that does not exist. Wow. We are constantly sprinting through life, unsatisfied with the present moment, sacrificing our current reality for an imagined, usually anxiety-filled future. This delusion drives us to seek out instant gratification just to numb the anxiety, which puts the monkey right back in charge.
But the Stoics had a brilliant solution through the dichotomy of control. You have the external domain, the world outside your mind, which is filled with chaos, suffering, and uncertainty. You literally cannot control it. Then you have the internal domain, your mental reactions and your interpretations of those external events. This is the only thing you truly control. When we stop depending on external rewards for our happiness and instead focus purely on mastering our internal resolve, we free ourselves from the constant need for more and fast-track our discipline.
And finally, Section 6, daily foundational habits. Let's tie this whole thing together with some rapid-fire daily actions to build that muscle of emotional resolve. First up, make your bed. It sounds tiny, but starting your day with this little victory provides a small sense of pride that totally encourages the completion of the next task. Second, envision success. Vividly picture victory right before starting a difficult task for a quick confidence boost. Third, repetition, repetition, repetition. Keep doing a task until it completely loses its novelty to reduce the friction of starting. And lastly, pulling from our Stoic perspective, occasionally strip away your comforts just to prove to yourself how strong you really are without them. Small wins build massive resolve.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really important question to ponder. If discipline isn't about white-knuckling through your day, and if we now know that discipline is actually an emotion, what are you choosing to feel today? It is time to stop waiting for the panic monster to save you and start stoking the fire of your own internal resolve. Thank you